Hello and welcome to another edition of 30 Minutes with Sir Martin Sorrell. Sir Martin has been in India for the last few days, reviewing his activities in India. He's come here shortly after meeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi on his visit to the US. Let's hear what he has to say. Sir Martin, thank you for talking to us, as always.
Good to be here, Anant.
So, touch upon a subject you've spoken about 3 years ago with me, which is the need for marketers to sort of decentralize their offices.
Well, globalize and
localize.
Because power is moving to the center, whether people like it or not, but also power, I think, should be devolved to local markets. I mean, it may sound a bit paradoxical, but I think it's true. The pressure is on regional.
Right.
And I think, if you said to me, I think that's because of technology and improvements in technology, and people at the coalface, if I can put it like this, and in the front line know more about what's happening than people at the centre. But there's also a need to coordinate things and not reinvent the wheel continuously. And I think agencies should take on the coordination and integration function, and clients shouldn't waste their time. We have 190,000 people in 112 countries. We're in the ideal position to try and manage and help clients manage at a time when growth is tepid, GDP growth is tepid, inflation is low, therefore there's very little pricing power. Right. There are disruptors, there are these zero-based budgeters out there, and the activist investors who are forcing our clients to drive down costs. And that's the reason why that regional sort of band or layer is being squeezed. I remember Jeff Immelt at GE saying at a Microsoft conference a couple of years ago that regional stop things coming down and stop things going up. They have the power to say no rather than the power to say yes. But technology has made organisational spans. If you called McKinsey a few years ago and said, what's the optimum organisational span, they might have said 12 or 13 people. Now I think my view is it can be more than that. And what I said yesterday, which caused a little bit of social network activity, was when you think about it logically, why would you treat India or China with 1.2 or 1.3 billion people organizationally the same way as you treat Portugal or Greece or Singapore with 5 million people? You either break India and China into states, organizations, God forbid, or regional, northeast, southwest, or you take Brazil, Russia, India and China, which are the four big boys, right, Indonesia, girls, and make them direct reports, and that immediately simplifies the organizational structure. I mean, it makes it more horizontal, but that I think is more efficient because information flows. And I was speaking to one client here who said, MNCs, are not as agile. That's one of the reasons why the local companies are making greater, what we call the Asian power brands, are making more progress, I think, than the MNCs. And the true competition to the MNCs are not fellow MNCs, but the local companies. Right. So it may be that this change, this focus on global, focus on local, squeeze on the regional middle, is being driven for the wrong reasons by cost. But I think it is the right answer, because I think organizationally, because of technology, because of the changes we talk about, that's the superior way of organizing.
So what stops marketers? Even in India, you've seen MNCs like Divas actually get it right in the last 7-8 years. Yes. A lot of local messaging completely perhaps out of sync with their global messaging.
A company like Unilever, it's neither an MNC, right. It's a hybrid in a way. It's an MNC and it's a local company. It's very difficult to distinguish, to put Unilever in one box or another, because its roots are so deep in India and its history is so deep and rich in India that it's very difficult. But companies that have come later to the market or don't have those historic ties, that's one of the reasons why I think why we're so strong in the country, is that we've been here for a long period of time, and hopefully we've learnt from our mistakes and built a business which is long term.
Sure. While on Hindustan Unilever, another thing you talked about yesterday, which, like I said, it's two of your statements mixed into one. One was the sort of waning spends on print, but you spoke about increased time spent and influence that they have, combined with what you should be doing on new media like Twitter. So the marketer, what does he do? Does he stop paying attention to print? Does he look at time spent, which we have very poorly measured in India? For example, print, we don't have any measurement of time spent.
Well, the answer is you should look at where consumers are spending their time, how their media consumption habits are changing. You should try and match that to investment, but you should also look at the quality of that time spent. I mean, you can spend a lot of time looking at something, and it can have zero effect. And you mentioned Twitter. I mean, for example, we have an exclusive arrangement with Twitter. We measure media in 45 countries around the world, including still India. And what we find is that live TV programming, if you've got two people watching a live TV program, let's say Britain's Got Talent or India's Got Talent or The Voice or whatever it is, that they are more likely to tweet one another sitting on a couch watching the program than they are to talk to one another.
Absolutely.
What that tells you is that social networks are really the new form of conversation, the new form of word of mouth. I was just with four entrepreneurs and we were talking about the power of word of mouth, but it's not word of mouth in the old village sense.
Right.
Not somebody in an Indian village saying, but it's somebody texting somebody in that village now with a mobile device which says, I like this, or I met this person, or whatever it happens to be. So the experience. So bringing the two together, but it's the quality of the time spent. And a lot of the data that you see from Canada, Australia, the UK, the US, shows that the quality of engagement, even with traditional newspapers, felling trees, distributing newsprint, the physical newspaper, even the quality of time spent with that is much higher. Now, there's a big debate going on. Keith Weed, who's the CMO of Unilever, he's on a crusade about measuring the effectiveness of Facebook video. Right. We know that the measurement standard for it is up to, say, 3 seconds.
Which you have debunked completely, yes.
And we know that also that when people view video, half of the time they're not listening to the sound. Okay. Well, I thought it was sound and light. It's not just about watching something. But you can prescribe that. So the problem is traditional media has a very high hurdle to jump over. New media has a very low hurdle. And when Philippe Doman, of Viacom, which has colours here in this market, is their channel, when he says that Nielsen's ratings are
rubbish.
Well, he doesn't quite put it that way. It's just misleading, let's say, because it doesn't count in all the tablets and all the alternative screens and the second, third screens. It doesn't count out of home. It doesn't count bars or whatever it is, or airports or whatever. He's right. I mean, he may not be totally right, because obviously he has a vested interest, but he's directionally, I think, majority right. Okay, 3/4 of the right. Let's put it like that. And the reason is the measurement system is defective. So in America, we've invested in ComScore and Rentrack, and thank goodness they've decided to come together. Right. So we will be able to build a better mousetrap. Right. And certainly we will stimulate, at the very worst, we will stimulate Nielsen to build a better mousetrap, which will be good. They have a monopoly. Yeah, sure. And that as we all know, we've seen similar criticism here in India, and we're bringing time. Hopefully, it's not finally agreed, and the government has to agree it. But we're bringing TAM and BARC together, and I think that will end up with a better measurement system here. Although I have to say, Anna, that anywhere in the world where we do measurement, media owners always complain when their ratings go down. It doesn't matter what the reason is. They always blame the measurement system. Right. When they go up, by the way, they never blame the measurement system.
We're going to take a short break here. When we come back, we'll hear what Sir Martin has to say about the merger of Encompass and Geometry Global.